Hello, my Storytime friends. Today we are going to read The Adventures of Herb Meyer. Herb Learns Obedience. Let's get started.
Storytime!
One evening, Herb Meyer and his family gathered in their living room happily. Dad said, "Bible time is about to begin, so let's sit up and pay attention." Mom asked, "What hymn would you like to sing?" Herb cried, "Onward, Christian soldiers" is exciting. As they sang aloud, Herb began to pretend he was a soldier for the Lord, ready to defend. Dad said, "I want to teach a lesson on obedience." Turn to Ephesians chapter 6, verses 1 and 2 for reference. The Lord commands you to obey your parents, even if you don't understand or it doesn't make sense. Parents have their kids' best interests in mind. We should obey respectfully and promptly, and be kind. Obedience is important to build character. Here's a short poem to help us remember. God wants me to obey my parents right away with a good attitude, says Ephesians 6, verses 1 and 2. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise. Ephesians 6, 1 through 2. It was getting late, so Herb went to bed. He repeated the obedience poem in his head. God wants me to obey my parents right away with a good attitude, says Ephesians 6, verses 1 and 2. Herb woke up to the smell of something sweet and ran to the kitchen to see what's to eat. Mother was baking chocolate chip cookies. Delicious. She said, "You can have one after eating something nutritious. Once breakfast time is done, you can have a cookie, but just one." Herb gobbled up his cookie, so yummy. He wished he could have more in his tummy. It was time for Herb's studies to begin, so he started with his math lesson. 8 times 3 is 24. Math drills can be such a bore. Herb had hoped it was almost noon, so he'd get a break and eat lunch soon. Herb remembered the cookies so sweet. He wondered if there were any left to eat. Herb went to the kitchen to take a look. Ignoring Mother's warning, a cookie he took. He thought he would only eat just one. But then he kept going until there were none. Herb went back to do his schooling, but soon his stomach started hurting. Herb remembered the poem on obedience and began to have a guilty conscience. Mom came and said, "Herb, are you okay? You're pale." "Oh, Mother, I do not feel so well. I am so sorry I disobeyed you and did not listen. I ate more cookies and made the wrong decision." Mom said, "This time you won't get a spanking, since you've already been punished with a tummy that's aching." Herb had to stay in bed the rest of the day, while his sister Emily went out to play. The next day, Herb woke to the sun so bright. He was determined that he'd obey and do right. Herb had learned obedience was important to build character, so he was going to do his best to remember. God wants me to obey my parents right away with a good attitude, says Ephesians 6, verses 1 and 2. The end.
If you enjoyed this story, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any fun adventures on Kids Storytime. See you next time!